So here we know that in order to add a form in our web page we have to use form tag. So let's start the adding form. So use the opening form tag and then the closing form tag. Okay, so now within this opening and closing form tag we will add the form elements, right? So let's see the first form element that we have to write here. Input element, and here right now I'm not using any form attribute, right? Because most of these form attribute that we have seen is mainly used for specifying the server side pages in order to send the data, right? So right now we are not using it any form attribute, right? So let us first add one input element. So in order to add input element I will put here, suppose I want to take a username, right? So we know that I have to use input element, then I have to close it immediately, right? And within that I will use type attribute, and its value I will specify since I want to collect the username, right? And we know that it's a single line text basically. So type I will specify text, correct? Because we have seen here that text is a type of input element which is basically used in order to collect the single line text from the user, right? So here I have used text, correct? Okay, so I will save it and let's see what happened. So I will save it in our folder, that is my web, and I'll give it the name forms.html. Okay, and let us run it. Okay, I will see here that forms, and now I will double click it, and you can see here that one input element of type text is appeared here, right? But how user know what that user have to input here, whether the name or anything else? So in front of this text type of input here there should be mentioned username, suppose. So how we will do that? Simply in front of input tag I will put the text that I want to show in front of input element. So user name, like this, right? Now if I will save and if I will refresh it, here you can see username, and then user can type his or her name here, right? So from here we can collect the username, suppose Leap Sing. Okay, so this. Now after the username I want that user should enter his or her password. So how I will do that? I will again take input element, but this time I will mention type as a password, right? Here we have seen that there is another type of input element, that is password, and of course in front of that password type input element I will show password, should be visible like this. Okay, so here let us save it and let's see what happened basically, and what is the difference between the simple text and password input type. Right, so I will go in the browser and refresh it. You can see here this is a user input text box and this is a password box. So in user input, whatever I will type, it would be visible to the user, but in the password, whatever I will type, it will not be visible in the plain text here, right? So this is how I can use password uh, type of input element in order to collect the user password from the web page, right? And if I want that there should this password should be in the not in the same line, it should be in the next line. So you may remember that how I will do. I will add after the username which tag in order to put the line break tag, right? So I will use break twice. So we know that break tag is used in order to make the other element should appear into the next line, right? So if I will use two break tag, so there will be next to next line. So let's see, save, sorry, refresh it, and it's not working. Why? Because we have not saved. So let us first save, and then again we'll go there and I will refresh it and see this is the username and it's next to next line. That's why we have used to br tag. Okay, so now the password. Okay, now suppose after the password again I will copy it and give the break here, and after that I want to use what, suppose checkbox. So how I will use checkbox. So let's see, in order to use checkbox, again we have to create input element, but now this time the type would be checkbox, right? And suppose checkbox basically contain what, the various option from which the user can choose more than one options, right? Or user can select more than one options. So suppose we want to collect what are the languages that user knows. So here I will put languages that you know, right? This, right, languages that you know, and then I'll put input type checkbox after that, right? But input type checkbox, so we have to put here what, after input type checkbox we have to use some another attributes of input type, apart from type attribute, some another attribute in order to work properly, right, with the type attribute of checkbox. So these are the name attribute, which specify a name used to identify the checkbox, right? And the value attribute that basically will be used if that checkbox is selected, right? And there is another attribute that is checked, basically used in order to set to checked if you want to select it by default. We will see how and what are these attributes, correct? So suppose first is name. The name I want to give Hindi, correct? And then the next is its value. So value, suppose I want to give Hindi, H is the value when user will select which checkbox, Hindi, right? And its name, in order to identify it, is Hindi, correct? And the another one is, so I will copy it and paste it. So because we want to give many options, so one is Hindi, another one is suppose English. For that I will put E, suppose, right? And if I will save it, and if I will check in the browser, so you can see languages that you know. So there are two checkbox, but it's not visible what Hindi or English, right? So in order to make it visible to the user that what exactly they are selecting you by using checkbox, I can use either in front or either at the end. So suppose in front I will use what, Hindi, Hindi, Hindi. Then here English, right? And maybe one more, let us see, three options we will give. So one more, maybe suppose French. So here I will give French, and it would be F, right? Now let us save it, and if I will go there and refresh it, now you can see language that you know, Hindi, yes, I know Hindi, I know English, but I don't know French. So I will select only two from the given options. So this is that's how that checkbox is used in order to take the information from the users, those information from the user, that the information from the users in the form of multiple checkbox. Okay, I hope it would be clear. Right, now let us go to the another, that is radio. So let's see how to create the radio buttons. So suppose the user should choose its sex, whether he is male or she is female. So we'll give here the option sex, and after that again I will use input tag and input tag, and there this time I will give type equal to radio, okay, and the name equal to suppose we are collecting the user sex information, so here sex, okay, and value equal to M, suppose, right? Now in case of radio buttons, one thing we have to remember, that let's first give another option. The another option is one is male and another one is female, right? M and suppose F, okay. Now what exactly happening here, we want to collect the user sex information, whether the user is a male or female, right? So when user will since we want since user having the restrictions, user can choose any one out of the given options, so that restrictions we can impose with the help of using radio button. But one thing we must have to remember, that the name of all the options that we are giving to the user in order to choose one should be same, whereas in case of checkbox the name is different, the name should be different. But in case of radio box or radio buttons, the name should be same. But remember that it should be same, then only it will work properly. correct. And here for visibility to the user, M for male, right, sorry, male, and here female. Now I will save it and go to the browser and refresh it, and you can see after that there is another option, sex male or female. Let us give a break here, in order to put these options below the checkbox options. So here I will put BR element twice, maybe, right. Now if I will save it, it will be in different line. Okay, so now user may put name, his password, the language he knows, and the options he can select. By default nothing is selected, checked, right. So if user want, if he's a male, he will select male, but if she is a female, so only one should be selected. So if I will check female, you can see immediately it is unchecked and it become here female, right. But in this case the user can check multiple. Here user can check only one in case of radio buttons, right. Okay, so let's move ahead and go to the another type of input element, that is file. Okay, so now let us, we want that user should upload his or her resume. So what I will do, I will put some break here first, and then I will again use input element as usual, but this time the type will be file, because we want that user should upload some files. Okay, and here in front we can mention like upload resume, correct, right. So upload resume, and let's see how it will work. I will save it and I will go to the browser, I will refresh it, and you can see upload resume, choose file. Right now no files are selected. If I will click here, it will bring us to the some folders. Like again, see, if I will click here, choose, so it will bring us to some folders, and I can upload any file from here, right. Like me, or okay, so vacancy portions like desktop and desktop, yeah, lecture-1. So I will select it. So here you can see lecture1.txt is selected, right. So this is how we can use the file type of input element in order to providing the upload options to the user, right, so that user can upload its files, whatever we want from user to be uploaded. Okay, now let's move. Upload resume, this file is over. Now after that, let's see what these three buttons, right. So these three buttons, submit, reset, and a button itself, let's see how it will work. So let's see how we will add a button. So suppose let's go to our web page, and after this I want a button should be here. When I will click, these information that I have collected from the user should be submitted to the destination page, the page that we have, or destination script, or to the server, and that page which is basically in the server, we mention it in the action attribute of the form, and that we basically we will learn when we will cover the PHP portion of this tutorial series, right. But right now let's see how we can add the submit button. So in order to add the submit button, we'll use again the input tag, but this time the type will be submit, right? And the name, in order to uniquely identify this submit button, so we can put the name here, suppose submit, and the value is submit. Okay, basically what are these value here in every input elements, like here the value m. This is basically let's see, when user will select, suppose this option male, that when user will select male option, the corresponding value which is sent to the server is m, because I have specified here value m for male, right? Similarly in here f, in case of checkbox, when user will select French, so its corresponding value f would be sent to the server, and server side scripting knows it that if f is received from the client or this web page, it means that f representing the language French, right? So this is how it use basically value. Similarly here the value submit in case of submit button. So let's save it and let's look how it look in the browser. Here you can see the submit button is appeared, but I want that submit button should be in the next line, right? So I will do that, refresh, and it come into right submit. And apart from submit button, I want the another button, that is refresh button. How I will do? So I know that I will copy it, paste it, and input types in place of submit, not reset button, in place of submit I will put reset, right? Name can be anything, reset, and the value will be reset, correct? And I will save it, and then I'll go to the browser and refresh it. You can see another button, reset. What reset will do, this is the initial page basically conditions, initial data, there is nothing. Now what reset will do, suppose I have put it here some name, then password, then Hindi, English, mail, I have chosen some files suppose, and suppose okay, then I realize okay, there is something, many fields are wrong, I have actually filled, so I can do reset, and you can see everything is gone. It's this is how reset work, right? And how submit button works, suppose I have put it here some data, and then I will do submit. So what happened basically, it submitted the data to the page that we should specify within the action attribute of the form. But here you can notice we have not specified action attribute here. So right now this data is not actually this data is not submitted to the server, but when we'll learn server side scripting, then we'll see yes, this data is submitted to the server, and the server side how we can use this data, correct? Okay, now let's see the simple button, this one. So simple button is, again, it's a simple one, it's not that tough. What we have to do, we have to simply in place of reset, I have to put simply button. So here I have copied it, and in place of type reset, it should be button. Name I can put suppose button and value, whatever value you want to say, suppose okay button. So I'll save it and I'll see here, refresh it, and you can see okay button here. But if I'll click this button, nothing will happen because I have not attached any client side script with this button, right? So when we learn in the coming video series regarding JavaScript, right, then we'll see how we can use these buttons, right, in order to do or perform some task. Okay, so these are the input element with its variations using type attribute. So text, password, checkbox, then radio box or radio button, then you can see here file and various buttons, submit button, reset button, normal buttons. Okay, so right now let us see the another element. The another element is, suppose what I want that user should put or we want to collect address from the user. So we know that address is a address can be in multiple lines, so we should use the form element that having the capability to take multiple lines data from the user. So that we already have discussed. That element is text area element, right? So let's see how we'll use. So text area element, it's a simple within the form element, because all the elements are within the form. So here I will use text area, right? But the text area element is not an empty element, so we will use the closing tag also. Okay. Right, so so this is how we can use the text area element. Now within that text area element we can specify that its size also with the help of its size attribute, and size will specify the size are specified here in terms of number of characters, and even we can specify the max length also in order to set the maximum length, that maximum number of character that text area should permitted to the user in order to give his data, right? So let's see, right now I am not using any attribute here of text area, so here I will put address simply, and here of course let's see break, right? So break. Okay, I'll save it, I'll go there, and if I'll refresh it, see here, because I have added this text area at the bottom after these buttons, so it appear at the bottom address. Here you can try after enter multiple lines, and you see here, right? And even this can, here you can drag the size of text, and or you can increase the size of text in the browser itself here, right? Okay, so this is how you can use text area in order to collect the multiple line inputs from the user. Okay, now after the text area there is another form element, again it's an important element, that is select, which is used to create the drop down list. So let us create drop down list. So let me tell you that select tag or select element always used with the one another element, that is one another tag, that is option, right? So this within the select element, we can use option tag in order to give the more than one options to the user, from which the user will select the his or her choice. Okay, so let's go to the coding section, and let's see how we'll use select. So suppose here I want that user should select what programming language he or she know. So I will give that having known programming languages, right? And then let me put here break so that it will appear in the new line. Okay, now in order to create a drop down list, we know that we have to use which tag, that is select tag, and I have to close the select tag here. Okay, remember that all these elements are within the form tag. Okay, all right. So within the select tag, how we can give the options, like various options from which user will choose. So using the option tag, so option, and then the option will be closed, right? And here I will give, suppose C language, then the another option, suppose I will copy it and I will paste it. So another option is suppose C++, then another is maybe Java. Okay, so there are three options, suppose, right? We can add more options by using again option tag within the select tag, right? So I will save it and I will go to the browser and I will refresh it, and since I have added it in the bottom, you can see here the known programming languages. This is the drop down list. I will click here and you can see the drop down list is appeared here. User can select anyone, C language, C++, Java, any one language. I suppose C++. So this is how we can use the select tag in order to create the drop down list, right? Okay, so this is all of form and form elements, and now let's see how we can use that field set and legend in order to grouping the form data. So field set basically let's see basically how it used. So after the form I will use field set, okay, and suppose I will copy it, and I want that all these form element are in a group, same group. So I will put all these element in a group by using field set. So I will close field set just before the closing form tag, right? So it means all these elements of form are now within a group. Okay, we can make this group till this text area, or till whatever, till elements you want, right? I want that all my elements, all my form elements is basically one group, so I have used field set here. Now I will save it, and if I go there and I will see is there any change. So yes, you can see there is one border, earlier it was not there, but after using of field set there is a border which border basically group all these form elements, right? And suppose I want that I will cut this field set from here. I want that before the text area would be one group, so I will use here field set here and I will save it. Now let's see what happened. If you'll go there, if you'll refresh it, before the group will bring here. Let's see, let's see, I will refresh it and you can see these elements are now one group by using field set, and these two elements now out of the group, right? So this is how field set basically used for grouping the related elements, right? And the another one is legend, and legend basically used for what? Legend used for putting the caption for the field set. So let's use it, legend, and I'll go there and here under the field set I'll give legend tag, and immediately I will close the legend tag, and within the legend tag whatever I will give, it will become the caption of that group that is created by field set. So it's a caption. Suppose I want it user information, okay, and I will save it, and now I will go to the web browser and refresh it. You can see the caption appear within this border user information. So in order to provide the caption to the field set, we use legend tag, okay. And the last thing, let us see a form attribute, and that is action and method, right? These two. So very important attributes of the form when basically we do client server programmings for web pages. Basically we want to send our data to the server in a server scripts, right? Then here we will specify the scripts that can be PHP scripts or JSP scripts which is stored in this server. So here we will specify the path of that scripts, path of that page or scripts where we want to send all these collected data, right? And method we used get or post. Get we used if we want to send some non-sensitive information or data, get, and post method we will use if we want to send the sensitive information or data like password, right? So by default is get, or we can explicitly mention the get. Here I am not mentioning any web page right now because we do not have learned till now that any server-side scripting. So when we learn server-side scripting, we again see how this action attribute will be used. So get. Now if I will save it and see here, whatever type, suppose I have type leave, then some password, right, and then Hindi, okay. Now when I will submit, what happened? You can see here, this is a basically used to provide a address. So you can check here after our name of page form.html, there is a question mark. After the question mark, whatever data that user has inputted, user has basically given from using these element, those data are sent in plain text to the server, and those data are visible into this address bar, right? Like here user has used Hindi, that is H, because I was selected Hindi. Sex, I was selected male, so M, right? And you can see H for Hindi, because here Hindi is a name, that name attribute, and M is a value, right? So this is how you can see the data using get method is sent to the server, but that data is visible to the address bar. That's why the sensitive information is not be sent using the get method. But if I will go there and mention here in place of get, if I mention here post, let's save it, and I'll refresh it. One moment. Okay, if I will refresh it now, if I'll put here something, then in the suppose mail, and if I'll submit it, again it's taking the name. Why it is taking, oh sorry, here there is spelling method, right? It was not taking, because by default it was taking get, right? We know that. So here some typo mistakes, so it should be basically method, right? And now I will save it. Okay, and now it should work properly. Alright, so here I will put something, name, then password, then suppose Hindi, female, and submit. So see, after clicking on submit button, the data is basically gone to the server, if it is connected with a server, right? And it is not visible into the address bar. So that's why when we want to send some sensitive information, then we should use post, right? Like here. But in place of it, if I'll use get and save it, and I'll go to the web browser, I'll refresh it, and here whatever I'll put here, then since we are using get method, after clicking on submit button, it is visible into the address bar. So this is what difference between using get and post methods, right? But in more detail, how this data that we are sending is received by the server or server side pages, and how we will use these data in the server, and how we'll give the reply to the client again, all these things we will learn when we see the PHP, right? Okay, so here this is all for this lecture, and hope everything whatever we have discussed is clear. But guys, if you have any query, you can freely discuss with me, and see you in the next lecture. Thank you guys.